That is Mike Felder. I am Adam Gold. We're back here at ACC Football Kickoff. Sometimes Mike's in a studio in his house, and sometimes I'm in a studio, but we're all here. And isn't that great? He is also the best maker of pizza, I think, in the entire state of North Carolina. You can work a pizza machine, my man.
Listen, man. You gotta find what you like and you make it yours. Like that's what I do. I figured out a pizza that makes my family happy. Obviously, made you guys happy as well.
It's great.
So we're good to go.
I enjoyed the evening last night. So normally we talk about some issues. Let's start with talking about actual football.
Okay.
I talked to EJ Manuel, and EJ we ran down the list of quarterbacks in the league, and I know you're a defensive back by trade. We'll get to defense in a second, but quarterbacks drive every. If you don't have a good quarterback, it's impossible to win in college football.
For sure.
We made it. We went down the list of quarterbacks in the league after Drake May, who I think we agree is the best quarterback in the league. Who's next?
Man, I asked you this question yesterday.
Yes.
See, now you're turning it
And
back
you know what?
on.
We didn't talk about the guy who I think is next.
So the thing for me, I think it depends on what you're looking for.
Okay.
Right? So if you're looking for future potential, Cade Klubnik is your guy.
Okay.
But if you're looking for right now, Jordan Travis probably needs to be your guy, especially if he plays on a team that might be able to win the ACC. Then we've got Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
Who's very
That's
good.
my guy.
I
love Riley.
He's very good. I talked to Roddy Jones. Roddy said he might be he's a top 3-round pick.
Yeah, and he's
day 1, day 2 NFL draft pick.
He's got at least another year at Duke left too.
So that's the reality there. Mitch Griffiths, super experienced.
Yeah.
Even though I know Sam Hartman was the starter, but he's been in that system long enough to be a real problem. He's been there for 4 years.
Really?
Yeah.
I told you yesterday. I don't even pay attention to what anybody's roster is,
and neither do I. And it's been.
Oh yes, you do.
I do, but it's taken me a long time to kind of grow out of what I was. I was super rigid before.
Okay.
But with the portal now, it's just you just got to go with the flow, and I have a really hard time going with the flow.
Right? Yeah.
I have to because I'll drive myself crazy trying to figure out who plays at Colorado. I don't know.
What conference does Colorado play in?
Big 12 soon.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Starting in 24 next year.
But it's literally like one of those things where I can't stress myself out like that. So I spend more time doing deeper dives on guys, and spent this week looking at Travis, May, and Klubnik. Hardest thing with Klubnik though, he hadn't played a lot of football.
Right.
And I'm tired of watching him throw screens, and I don't want to watch him in garbage time. So it's really hard to find like real throws from him. But the potential, you can see the potentials. So that's been really interesting. I think Jordan Travis is a special player. He has the opportunity to be really, really good. Like this is a guy that can throw the ball. Like that's the one thing that kind of makes me mad when you watch like cut-ups of him. So many people have cut-ups of him running, which fantastic. He's a very good runner, but he can throw the football. And what I've been trying to pull are like little pull inklings out of what he's going to get better at, what he's going to what's he going to do next. And Drake May, people keep asking me about Drake May compared to Sam Howell because Sam Howell broke every record in the book.
He did.
Drake May is a better football player. He's taller, obviously. You can see that just from stature-wise. Short, squat Sam Howell versus tall, kind of long.
Yeah.
Drake May. But the big thing that I've noticed in watching him, and I've been watching him a lot, is he throws the ball in the middle of the field. And that's something you have to do to be successful in the NFL. Something we saw Bryce Young do very well. Obviously, now we're in Charlotte, so he's started for the Carolina Panthers. So we saw C.J. Stroud do pretty well. You have to be able to throw the ball in the middle of the field, and that's something that Sam Howell didn't really do well. Sam Howell worked on the edges a lot.
Right. He threw a good deep ball, too.
Good deep ball, but that deep ball was also to the edge.
Yes.
Drake May's throwing good deep balls to the interior. Drake May, I mean, listen, if I was advising him, I would say, you got to make sure you're not throwing. You can't throw hospital balls.
Don't kill your receivers.
But he does a really good job of the thing I like about him though, he throws what would be hospital balls, but he puts them low and he gets his guys on the ground. And I think that's really, that's a quarterback that cares, honestly. And it's also it takes real skill to do that. To throw a guy into what you know is what could be a collision. If you put that ball up, his ribs are going to get eaten up.
Yeah.
But you put that ball low, you get him down. He can catch it, roll, minimal impact. So I really like Drake May. I think that he definitely has an opportunity to be a top 5 pick. It's just about what this year looks like. And UNC, you got to surround them with some talent. So this is going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, North Carolina, no Josh Downs, right? So year 2, and I know portal and all of that.
Right.
I think they should be good at running back. Whether or not they have a good running game depends on whether or not their offensive line is as good as it needs to be. Mike Felder, Stadium, ACC now everywhere.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing some pro football too.
Yep.
So during the season, we'll talk more pro football.
Sure.
But your
My
thoughts?
wife's going to kill me, by the way.
She'll be fine.
She's 2 days in a row of football. She's going to lose her mind.
But honey, I'm working.
Hopefully, I hope this season lasts. I hope the pool stays open long enough for that on Saturday she can go to the pool.
Hey, look, it could be worse. You could cover hockey also and be busy 4 nights a week.
There you go.
There you go. The ACC has a perception of being right now, and for the last several years, a one-man band with Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
And what we know from, let's just say, basketball, if Duke and Carolina aren't great, then it doesn't make a difference who else is good. The league's perception is down. So Clemson the last 2 years hasn't been great. ACC football is trash because Clemson is not great, and yet they still won the league last year going 8-0. So what does it take for the ACC to change a national perception of who they are, what they are as a football league?
I think there's 2 things. One, and I'll say this. I mean, we heard Commissioner Phillips speak, what was it, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Man, you got to stop saying second place. Like that's just
we have the second most.
Exactly.
Right.
And I was like, man, I know in theory it sounds like we're almost but it sounds like we're almost as good, and that's not what you need. You don't need almost as good. You just say we're good.
Yes.
And I think you just list the numbers and say what other conference can say this? Maybe one or something like that.
Or just compare yourself to the Big Ten.
Right.
And not reference the SEC.
Or not reference them. Right.
Right.
You just gotta find a different way to say it. I think it's all about phrasing and
messaging.
Messaging. Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for. You got to find a way to send the proper message. And so it's going to be interesting to see, like, what does it take for these? I think Florida State being good is important. And they could be good this year.
Right.
But I think Florida State being good is important because remember, like, growing up, Florida State, they were a nightmare.
Florida State and the eight dwarfs, that's not even right, but yeah, Florida State was the team.
They were a nightmare, and then you bring in Miami, and you think Miami's going to come in and really. The reason they put the ACC championship game in Florida to begin with.
I went to the first one in Jacksonville.
Yeah, was it Wake Forest?
No, it was Florida State and Virginia Tech.
And
Virginia Tech won it, I believe.
But that's the thing. So we've got, in reality, over the course of my lifetime, the way that I'm at 30, I'm almost 40. So here's what I'm looking at. Florida State was a powerhouse. Miami was a powerhouse. Virginia Tech was a powerhouse.
Yes.
Right now we got one powerhouse. That's Clemson. Those other 3 need to step up. Like that's the difference. Right now, you look at the SEC, we're looking at LSU, Alabama, Georgia, for sure. Those 3, for sure. And then maybe we'll see what Florida does, or maybe we'll see what Tennessee does with Joe Milton.
Right.
So I think that you've got to have more than one. That's the most important part. Nobody cares. You kind of referenced it. Nobody cares about what the middle of your league looks like. Nobody's checking for the middle of your league. Everybody's checking for the top. And if you can get more teams at the top, that's when people think you're good. You're good, and that's what they have to have.
I mean, if you think about it, who are the really good football teams, not programs, but good football teams in the Big Ten? It's Ohio State, it's Michigan, it's Penn State.
That's it.
And we're done. Right. Wisconsin has had the greatest pass of all time.
Sure.
Being in the West where nobody's really good, or when Iowa has their years,
Iowa
right?
Goes 14-0. Yeah.
Right. But ultimately, there's 3 good ones in the Big Ten. But the perception, oh man, it's great.
Great league.
It's really just a couple of, or maybe 3 great teams, and they're just okay everywhere else. And that is what the ACC needs to be. They haven't had that second or third team. So if you have your football brands being great, Then
Right.
you could have a North Carolina or an NC State, or a Wake or a Duke be
Right.
good.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, oh man, you don't want to play them. You don't want to play them. Let me ask you about Clemson, Duke in the opener for those two schools. Week one's always a little goofy, but we're so far away from it. But
We ain't that far.
well, that's true. Labor Day is not that far away. We're about, what was it, 5 weeks from Monday? 5 weeks from Monday
Yeah.
is that game.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you. We talked about it yesterday, but man, I'm between the portal trying to get all my stuff ready for the season. Kids start school.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
You need a vacation already?
I'm gonna get it right. Like I'm ready. I'm ready to show up everywhere. Like this is gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to this season. Like I really like that possibility that Florida State might step up is really cool. Duke just gave Mike Elko all that money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to win 9 games.
No, they could be the best 5-7 team in the history of football.
But they
Their
believe
schedule's
in him
crazy.
And what he's doing, and they got Riley Leonard, as we mentioned before. UNC, I still don't know what to expect out on the edges.
You were right. You were there. This is my perception of North Carolina, and as good as Mac Brown has done it, he has raised the profile and the image of the football program. I think he's done a great job. I'm not knocking anything. When the lights have come on, they have not shown up.
Oh, for sure.
In any of those games, they have not shown up.
And they got hang on, let me see when it is.
Well, they close with their 2 toughest games. If South Carolina is not on that list anyway, they close with Clemson and NC State
on the road.
Actually, Duke before Clemson and NC State, and that's going to be a hard game too.
Yeah, that's a hard game. So we're talking about 3 hard games there. That's at the back end. What about the first 2?
Yep, South Carolina and App State.
And App State. That's not an easy. That's not.
And Minnesota too. Also,
yeah, Minnesota. Is Tanner Morgan still there? God, see, I don't know.
Is Dave Winfield? I think Dave Winfield might still be at Minnesota.
No, but South Carolina is going to be interesting. We get to see if we're going to see a little bounce back, or that the back half of the year for Spencer Rattler looked a lot better than the first half. So we get to see that. But then App State, I mean, they got Nate Noel. That dude is an absolute monster. And I know they lost Cameron Peoples, but I like Nate Noel. So we'll see. Like, you gotta beat App State. Like those are 2 tough outs. And then you got Minnesota, as you mentioned. You got Pitt. Pitt is not a.
I think Pitt's good. I think Pitt's one of those middle of the pack teams that could be.
They could be any of the teams any day.
No question about it. All right, let me let Mike Felder get out of here. I appreciate the hospitality last night.
No problem, man.
That was tremendous. We don't have to get into anything. But you are the man. I'll be talking to you during the season.
Yeah, sounds good. Can't wait to do it, man. Let's go.